What's going on, anyone who cares? I go by Free Tony, and welcome to Volways, where we always talk volunteers baseball. And by we, I mean me. Welcome, everyone, to episode 3 of Volways. Over the weekend, Tennessee swept the Dayton Flyers 3-0, improving to 6-2 on the season. Before we get into what happened this weekend, I have to remind you guys what the trivia question was from last episode. And that question was, what city is Tennessee's largest in population? And that answer was Memphis, Tennessee. Getting into game one, we had Chase Dollander on the mound. He looked good. He looked really good for the most part. The first inning, again, for him was a little shaky, but it wasn't too bad. He ended up going 5 2/3 innings, giving up 5 hits, had 12 strikeouts, 2 earned runs. Both of those came in the first inning. 1 walk and 1 hit by pitch. And then after Dollander shoved, he was replaced by A.J. Russell. He went 2 1/3, 0 hits, 5 strikeouts, no runs, no walks. And Aaron Combs came in to finish it off in the last inning. No hits, 3 strikeouts, no runs, and no walks. Dollander, once again, looked really good in his second start of the year. The first inning, he struck out the first 2 guys, but then gave up a 2-out walk, which led to the home run, the 2-run home run by Pujols in the first inning. Dayton can swing it, man. They came out swinging in the first game, and they didn't stop all weekend. Our pitching kept them at bay. Our staff is just that good. Combined with Dayton, I think this was their opening weekend. They haven't had a chance to get away from the cold weather and play yet, but they weren't scared to swing the bat, that's for sure. I know we struck a lot of guys out, but they definitely made some solid contact on a lot of balls, and they had some good hitters. Going down the lineup here, we'll note that Griffin Merritt and Jake Kendrow both hit their first home runs as volunteers, so that's awesome to see. But Dickey was in game 1 against Dayton was 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs. He was caught stealing once, but his home run was an absolute moonshot over the batter's eye in dead center field. And then Christian Moore had 2 walks, did strike out 3 times, but he did have a stolen base. Blake Burke was 1 for 5. He swung on a 3-0 fastball once, and that was the pitch he was looking for. He was just a little late. It wasn't a bad pitch to swing on. And then Zane Denton was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a sac fly and a triple. Then Griffin Merritt, as I said earlier, hit a home run. He was 2 for 3 with a walk and a hit by pitch. He just seems like he's a ball magnet right now. Following him was Cal Stark, was 1 for 4. He had 2 strikeouts, but he did have 1 run scored. He reached on an error, I believe. Then Kyle Booker, he was 0 for 5, and Jaslove was 1 for 3 with a double. He had great base running all weekend this weekend. In game 1, he went from first to third on an error from shortstop, and the ball just ended up in no man's land in the outfield, and he did a great job seeing the ball in front of him and taking an extra base. And Charlie Taylor was 1 for 3 with a double and a walk. And then Kendrow came in as a pinch hitter and obviously hit his home run. Offensively, overall in game 1, we looked pretty good. I know we put up 12 runs, but Dayton definitely helped us out. I think they had 5 errors in that game. And we left at least 5 runners in scoring position, so we should have scored even more runs. Like I mentioned, base running was really good. It's a huge step up from week 1. Another note I have here is Dayton's right fielder almost threw 3 of our guys out. There's a play at the plate. I I played outfield. I hate the fact that the rule now that you can't block. I know you can't completely block the plate, but the catcher's foot was in front of the base, and Jared Dickey was hosed at home. I mean, it was just an absolutely perfect throw. You couldn't have asked for a better throw. Perfect one hop. Catcher, all he had to do was swipe, really. And the call was he was called out on the field, and then they reviewed it, and it was overturned just because the catcher's foot was in front of home plate. But that's one I don't agree with, even though it went our way. That to me is taking a beautiful play away from the game of baseball. There wasn't anything egregious. The catcher wasn't completely blocking the base with his body and trying to stop him from scoring before he even had the ball. I mean, it was a bang bang play. But that's just my opinion. I think the right fielder had one taken away from him. He also almost threw one of our guys out at third and first. So anybody playing Dayton, I would not suggest running on a ball to right field. And then one thing that bothered me with us was, what are we doing chirping Dayton's first baseman, who was 2 for 2 at the time with the home run and a single? He was their only offense, and then he gets hit by a pitch, and then somebody in our dugout is chirping at him. Why? We're already up, and you know we have to play him again. Just why? Moving on to game 2, we had Chase Burns starting on the mound for us, and he was incredible. He absolutely shoved all game. He finished with 83 pitches. He went 6 1/3, only gave up 2 hits, 12 strikeouts, 3 walks. And, I mean, he was just unbelievable. I mean, his fastball-slider combination was absolutely working. It was elite Saturday. Yeah, it was a beautiful thing to watch. It was so fun to see him fill up the zone. And Seth Halverson came in after and shut it down. He only threw 22 pitches. He went 2 2/3, no hits, 3 strikeouts, no walks. So, I mean, we had 15 strikeouts total in game 2. And, I mean, you can't really ask much more than that. Both guys just looked like they were dotting the ball wherever they wanted it all game. With Halverson coming in off of Burns' fastball slider combination, I mean, Halverson had a nice fastball changeup combination. I mean, you go from a guy that's throwing upper 90s with something that's moving side to side, and then you got another guy that comes in throwing mid 90s that's going up and down. I mean, that's tough. That's really tough. Looking at the offensive lines here, we had Dickey that was 1 for 5, 2 strikeouts with a run scored. Christian Moore was 1 for 3 with 2 more RBIs, a sac fly, and a run scored. He also had a walk. Big Blake Burke was 1 for 4 with 1 strikeout. He had a single in his last at bat. Zane Ditton was 0 for 2 with 2 walks. Then Griffin Merritt was 1 for 3 with a double, an RBI, a walk, and a strikeout. Cal Stark went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and a walk. Dylan Dreiling 0 for 3, 1 strikeout, 1 walk, and a run scored. And then Jazz Love was 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run scored and a double. And then Charlie Taylor was 0 for 3 with a walk. Game 2, I mean, we didn't look horrible offensively. We didn't look like game 1. We didn't have as many hits. But we only had 5 total hits. We had 7 total walks, though. And 7 strikeouts. So, like I said, not horrible, but we did leave 6 runners in scoring position. So, and that's not just runners on base. That's runners on second and third, the people that can score. So that's back-to-back games in 1 and 2 that we had a decent amount of runners that we left in scoring position. And then we also left the bases loaded in the bottom of the 7th with no outs. I mean, we got to come away with something there, at least 1, hopefully 2. But to end the inning, I mean, the third baseman just made a great great play in the hole on a hard hit ball. Our base running in game 2 was also much better from the weekend prior. We had Dreiling that scored from first on Jazz Love's double in the bottom of the second. I mean, we didn't run ourselves out of innings. We tried to be aggressive on dirt balls and pass balls. We just did a good job back-to-back games. Some of the other notes for game 2 were Charlie Taylor threw out 2 or 3 guys, but if it weren't for it being wet with the turf, it wouldn't have happened. It was only because guys were sliding past the bag and we were holding a tag on them. But so that is, I'll say, a concern at the moment. We haven't been too successful throwing people out, but on paper it looks like we have. But if you watch Saturday's game, it wasn't. All the runners were safe. They just slid past the bag. But I mean, we took advantage of it. We didn't squash the opportunity. But also, we keep missing bunts. I don't know what's going on. I think we're gonna end up just not bunting, which is unfortunate because it's a part of the game that I still think needs to be utilized, because there are certain situations where it is difficult to cover a bunt, especially when you have the right guy up at the plate. And we missed a bunt in the second with first and second with no outs, and then we hit a ground ball with the fielder's choice, and we end up with first and third with 1 out instead of second and third with 1 out. It's just little things like that we can definitely improve on. But Dayton helped us out so much. They had four errors, I think, in game 2, 4 or 5. So we definitely should have scored more runs. That was the theme for Dayton all weekend, was just errors. The one guy for Dayton had both of their hits, which was number 6. I don't remember what position he was, but our pitching in game 2 just cruised all night. We looked really good, just spotting, throwing it anywhere we wanted to, it seemed like. Game 3 was also pretty fun to watch. Drew Beam started game 3. He went 5 1/3, only gave up a hit. He only had 4 strikeouts, and I say that compared to both Chase's and Friday and Saturday game with at least 10 strikeouts. But he did have 3 walks. He finished with 75 pitches, and he also took a line drive off of his right leg. Watching it live, I thought it hit his knee. Very thankful it didn't hit his knee. Coach Elander post game said it hit him in the thigh, so that was very scary. That brought back PTSD from Chase Dolander getting hit in the elbow in the Alabama series last year. And that actually led to the sign that you see behind me. Just a little hint as to why I have that sign behind me. But then Kirby came in. He was Mr. Reliable. He came in and finished the 6th inning. 2/3, no hits, strikeout. Then we saw Zach Joyce throw an inning, Jacob Bemby, Bryce Jenkins, and then Andrew Lindsay finished it out. And I will say, Bryce Jenkins, he had a pretty big pitch battle in the top of the 8th with somebody, and it was good to see him win that. He ended up striking the kid out. But our pitching in game 3 was there again. I'm not too surprised. We just need to keep throwing strikes. We have the staff that can strike guys out, but yeah, we just need to keep throwing strikes. Offensively in game 3, we had Jared Dickey. He was 1 for 4, 2 strikeouts, an RBI, and a run scored. Christian Moore, he's having a quiet season so far, but he's scary quiet. He's getting walks. He was 1 for 4 in game 3 with a double and 2 walks. No, I'm sorry. He was 1 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs. And he would have been 2 for 4 had the Dayton third baseman not made a great play on him in his first at bat. But yeah, he's having a sneaky good season so far. He's kind of going under the radar, but he's been very productive for us in the 2 spot. And then Blake Burke, 2 monster Burke bombs. Monster home runs. 1 over the batter's eye in dead center, and then he flicked one out to left field. Man, his swing is beautiful, isn't it? And he has yet to pull a home run. I believe he has 4 home runs on the year. 2, 3 are to left center, and 1 is to straightaway left. So that tells you that he's seeing the ball really well. He is locked in right now, and I cannot wait to see him throughout the year get better from where he is right now, which is crazy to say, right? But he's going to get better throughout the year. And then after Burke, Zane Denton was 1 for 3 with a walk. Griffin Merritt was 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. Cal Stark was 0 for 1 with 2 walks. And he was caught stealing, trying to advance on a dirt ball, but I love the aggressiveness. He almost made it there. He got an okay jump. Maybe he needs to work on his speed a little bit, but I'm not upset with that one at all. It was aggressive base running, so I liked it. And then DHing was Logan Chambers. He was 0 for 2 with a run scored. He reached on an error. Jaslove was 1 for 3. He ended up being thrown out at the plate in the bottom of the second on a close play, but it is what it is. It was just a good throw. And then Hunter Ensley was 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. And then some of the pinch hitters that came in was Reese Chapman. He was 0 for 1, flew out to center. And then Tavares Tears, man, he's playing for a spot right now. Each game he's played in, he's had a double. So he was 1 for 2 with a double on Sunday evening. And then Dreiling was 0 for 1. He flew out to first base. And then Kyle Booker was 0 for 1. Offensively in game 3, we left another 6 runners in scoring position. So I know it's going to happen. I would just like to see those numbers a little lower. It has improved from weekend 1. I think last weekend, throughout the first 2 games, we left somewhere in the teens. It might have even been in the 20s. The total number of base runners we left on, not just in scoring position, but the total number was up there. So we've definitely improved in that aspect from week 1 to week 2. And yeah, we seem to be putting it together right now. We're starting to see more of the same guys in the lineup, so I think we're figuring out our lineup, but I think there are still a couple spots that are questionable and up for grabs, but I think we'll figure that out before conference play. We're putting it together right now, and I'm very excited. Quick defensive notes. Zane Denton made a great play on a hard hit ball in the top of the 7th inning, and then Griffin Merritt caught one. I thought the ball was gone, but Griffin Merritt made a catch at the wall, running into the wall in the top of the 4th. So that was incredible. But Dayton also had another 3 errors. On the books it says 4. I mean, I'm sorry. On the books it says 2, I think. But there was a play that I was watching that whoever was keeping the book there ruled it a hit, and I was like, there's no way that was a hit. So in my book, it was an error. I'm adding another error in there, and I think their third baseman would agree with me if he went back and saw the play. So coming up this week, we have another Tuesday-Wednesday series, and that is against Charleston Southern at 4:30 and 4 p.m. Hopefully those game times stay the same. But I know one thing that a lot of haters out there are loving right now is the fact that Coach Vitello was suspended for this past weekend against Dayton. And personally, because of how quiet the school has kept this, I would not be surprised if Coach Vitello is suspended for longer than this weekend. The information has been very hard to come by regarding any of this. But this needs to be resolved soon. Like, we need answers, because this kid, Maui Ahuna, this isn't his fault. He just wants to play, right? So if it comes back to Tony, ultimately, I understand that. but I don't like how nobody has answers. And I know they don't like how nobody has answers, but this kid needs to play, and we need to know, okay, who's being suspended and for how long. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Vitello is suspended for, man, a while. This seems pretty serious. Just the fact that it hasn't been resolved yet, and it's gone through the summer and the fall. That's just what worries me. But I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Vitello's gone for a little while. I'm comfortable with Coach Elander acting as the head coach. We're in good hands. But it just sucks, man. We can't catch a break right now. The beginning of our season has had a lot of drama. Yeah, I just want this to be resolved and let this kid play. We want to see him on the field. Jazz Love is doing a great job in the meantime. I have nothing bad to say about him. But this kid came here to play, and he needs to play. I don't think it's his fault. I think it comes back to the adults, obviously, right? He's just a player. But free Maui, free Tony. The last thing I have here is the trivia question. And episode 4's trivia question is, what is the Tennessee State sport fish? I think a lot of people should know that. But that's going to wrap it up for episode 4 of Always. I will see you guys after the Tuesday and Wednesday games against Charleston Southern. Hopefully Tennessee can improve to 8-2. Go Vols. Peace.